Why is everything getting more expensive these days? Like, my favorite snacks and toys keep costing more every time I go to the store with my mom.
That's a great question, and it's something a lot of people wonder about. What you're noticing is called inflation. Inflation is when the prices of things in general go up over time, so your money doesn't buy as much as it used to. It's not just one thing getting pricier, it's a bunch of stuff across the whole economy.
Inflation? Sounds like a big word for something simple, but isn't it really just companies being greedy and raising prices to make more money?
I get why you'd think that. It can feel that way when you see the same cereal box jumping from $3 to $4. But it's not usually just greed. Sure, companies want to make profits, but inflation starts deeper in how the economy works. One big reason is that the amount of money floating around increases. Like when the government or banks create more money, there's more cash chasing the same amount of goods. If everyone has a bit more money to spend, but there aren't more apples or toys being made, sellers can charge higher prices because people are willing to pay.
More money chasing the same stuff. Okay, that makes sense. Like if all my friends suddenly got extra allowance, but the candy store didn't get more candy, the price per piece would go up.
Exactly, you've got it. Another cause is when demand shoots up faster than supply. Picture this. During a hot summer, everyone wants ice cream, but the ice cream trucks can't make it fast enough because of a milk shortage from bad weather on farms. Demand is high, supply is low, so prices climb. Or think about supply chains getting messed up. Like when a big storm hits a factory that makes plastic for toys, suddenly fewer toys are available, and what's left costs more to produce and buy.
So it's not all on the companies, like costs for materials rise and they have to pass that on.
Right on the nose. Materials like wheat for bread or metal for bikes get more expensive due to things like droughts, higher fuel costs for shipping, or even global events that make importing stuff pricier. Companies aren't just pocketing extra. They're dealing with higher bills for everything from workers' pay, who need more to keep up with their own rising costs, to the raw stuff they use. If a toy factory pays more for plastic because oil prices spiked, that extra cost trickles down to the store shelf. It's like a chain reaction. One part of the economy feels the pinch, and it spreads.
A chain reaction. I remember last year when gas prices went up, my dad said that's why our road trips cost more. But does this happen every year or just sometimes?
It happens gradually most years, but sometimes it speeds up. Economists aim for a little inflation, like 2% a year, because it means the economy is growing. People are buying, jobs are there. Too much, though, and it squeezes families. Remember the pandemic? Factories shut down, shipping slowed, and boom, prices for everything from toilet paper to video games jumped because supply couldn't keep up with everyone staying home and ordering online.
Yeah, we couldn't even find some board games for months. So inflation isn't all bad, but it still makes stuff I want harder to get.
Spot on. A tiny bit can encourage spending and growth, but when it picks up, it hits budgets. Families might afford fewer outings or have to skip extras like new sneakers. And different stores react differently. Big chains might hold prices steady longer to keep customers happy, while small shops pass on costs quicker because they can't absorb them.
That explains why the corner store's chips are always a bit more than the supermarket. But how does this whole inflation thing actually make my snacks cost more? Like, specifically the ones I grab after school.
Let's break that down next. Great, let's dive into that snack example to see how inflation kicks off. Remember how I mentioned more money chasing the same goods? That often starts with the central bank, like our Federal Reserve, deciding to print or create more money. They do this to help the economy when things are slow, say after a big recession where jobs are scarce. It's like giving the whole playground extra tokens to play games. But if the games don't multiply, everyone bids higher for a turn.
Printing money? Doesn't that just make everyone richer? Why would that push up snack prices?
It sounds like a free lunch, but here's the catch. If there's suddenly more money out there, but the same number of potato chips being made, bakers and snack factories see people willing to pay a bit more. They raise prices to match, and it spreads. Take your after-school chips. The company that makes them might get loans easier because money's plentiful, but their costs for potatoes or oil don't drop. Instead, farmers charge more for spuds because they're selling to everyone with fuller wallets. It's a ripple. More money leads to more spending, which nudges prices up across the board.
So the bank starts it by making more money. But what about those economic events you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, those can spark it too. Imagine a big event like a war far away that makes shipping oil harder. Fuel costs jump, and suddenly trucks delivering ingredients to the snack factory pay double at the pump. That factory then has to hike what they charge stores or they go broke. Or think about a boom time. Everyone's getting jobs and bonuses. So demand for quick eats like your chips surges. Factories crank as fast as they can. But if they can't keep up, maybe because workers are hard to hire at old wages, prices climb to cool things off a bit.
Like when everyone wanted masks and hand sanitizer at the start of the pandemic, stores ran out and what was left cost way more.
Exactly right. That was a demand surge mixed with supply hiccups. Supply chains, those are the paths goods take from farm to your hand, got tangled up with factories closing and ports jammed. No disruptions, and prices might stay even. But throw in a drought hitting cornfields, corn oil's in a lot of snacks, and boom, costs rise from the ground up. The government watches this, but they can't just snap fingers and stop it. Printing less money might slow the economy too much, causing job losses. Their tools, like interest rates, take time to work, kind of like turning a big ship.
Why can't the government just tell companies to freeze prices or something? Wouldn't that fix it quick?
That's a common thought, and it feels straightforward, but freezing prices can backfire big time. Remember history class? In the 1970s, the U.S. tried price controls during high inflation from oil shocks, but it led to shortages. Shelves empty because companies couldn't afford to produce at old prices, so they made less. People hoarded what was there. Black markets popped up with sky-high underground prices. It's like telling lemonade stands they can't charge more than a dime, even if lemons tripled in cost. Stands close. No lemonade for anyone. Governments prefer guiding the economy gently, like raising rates to borrow money, which slows spending and eases pressure on prices without halting everything.
Shortages from controls? That makes sense now. Better to let it adjust slowly than run out of stuff. But with all these starts, like money printing or disruptions, does inflation always begin the same way?
Not always one way, but often a combo. Say the economy's chugging along, then a natural disaster hits a key crop, wheat for your snacks crackers. Supply drops, prices tick up. Central banks might respond by adding money to keep loans flowing for farmers to replant, but that extra cash fuels more buying elsewhere. It's interconnected like dominoes. One tips and the line wobbles. Over time, if wages start rising to match, it can settle. But getting there takes months or years.
Dominoes. Yeah, I see how a small thing snowballs. My uncle's farm had a bad harvest once, and he said bread prices went up for weeks after.
Your uncle's spot on. Agriculture's super sensitive. These starts aren't random. They're tied to real-world shakes. But once inflation's rolling, it doesn't stop at farms. Okay, but why do everyday items like toys and food get hit hardest by all this?
Yeah, like, why do my after-school snacks and birthday toys always seem to cost the most extra? It's not fair when they're the fun stuff.
Totally get that frustration. It's like inflation picks on the things that make life enjoyable. Once it gets going from those starts we talked about, like supply glitches or extra money in circulation, it hits daily items hard because they're tied to basics that everyone needs or wants right away. Food and toys aren't luxury yachts. They're made from everyday materials that feel the squeeze first. Let's zoom in on your snacks, for example. The potato chip factory pays more for potatoes because farmers' costs went up, maybe from higher water bills during a dry spell or fuel to run their tractors. Those farmers then ask for higher prices from the factory to cover their own rising bills, so the chips get pricier to make.
So the factory just slaps that extra cost onto the bag I buy?
Pretty much, but it's step by step. Producers, like that chip maker, also face higher wages for their workers. If inflation's pushing up rent and groceries for everyone, employees say, hey, I need a raise to keep up. The factory bumps pay to keep good hands on the line, but that adds to the total cost of making each bag. Then they sell to stores at a higher wholesale price. Retailers, the ones with the shelves, don't just eat that. They add their own markup to cover their expenses, like more expensive electricity for the lights or trucks to restock. A store might think, if chips cost us 20 cents more per bag, we'll charge customers 30 cents extra to stay in business. It's not overnight, but over months, your snack jumps from $1 to $1.50.
That explains the slow creep at the checkout. But what about toys? Like, why does my action figure go from $10 to $12 when nothing's really changed about it?
Toys are a perfect example because they're often imported or use global stuff like plastic from oil. Remember those supply chain tangles? If oil prices rise from some far-off event, the plastic for the toy gets costlier to produce. Factories in other countries might pay more for that plastic. Plus, their workers want raises too as their local prices climb. Shipping the toy across the ocean? Freight costs soar if fuel's up or ports are backed up. By the time it hits your store, the toy company has layered on those extras, and the retailer adds a bit more to compete or profit. Think of it like building a Lego set. Each piece costs a tad more, and the whole thing ends up pricier on the shelf.
Lego. Yeah. If one block jumps a penny, the full box feels it. Do all stores pass it on the same way, or does it depend?
Great catch. That's where competition comes in, and it varies a ton. Big stores like Walmart or Target have huge buying power. They might negotiate better deals with suppliers or hold prices steady longer to lure shoppers away from rivals. They can absorb some costs from their giant profits or by cutting elsewhere, like fancy packaging. But smaller shops, say your local toy store, can't push back as hard. They get hit with the full wholesale hike and pass most of it to you right away because they don't have that buffer. It's why you might see the same snack cheaper at a chain supermarket than the corner mart. Competition keeps the big guys from jacking prices too fast, but everyone feels the pinch eventually.
So the little stores suffer more? My grandma's neighborhood shop always seems a bit higher on candy.
Exactly. And it's tough for them. Higher prices might mean fewer customers, squeezing them tighter. Inflation doesn't treat everyone equal. Essentials like food get hit because supply's tight on farms, while fun stuff like toys spikes from imported parts. Over time, a family basket of groceries and games that cost $100 last year might run $105 now, chipping away at what you can afford for movie nights or park treats. Producers keep passing costs to stay afloat. Retailers adjust to match, and boom, your wallet notices.
It's sneaky how it adds up on the little things I buy most. But if all this is making prices rise steady, how come our family's paychecks don't just match it quick?
That's the next layer worth unpacking. Yeah, it's frustrating when prices climb, but your family's income feels stuck in place, right? Wages often lag behind inflation because pay isn't something that adjusts on a dime. It's more like a slow-moving train trying to catch up to a speeding bike. Employers, like the bosses at your mom's work or dad's office, don't just hand out raises the second a loaf of bread costs more. They plan budgets for the year, and if inflation sneaks up, it takes time to rework everything.
Stuck in place? Like, why can't they just say, hey, prices are up, here's more money, right away?
That's a solid objection. I wish it were that easy, but here's why it's not. Most jobs have contracts or agreements that lock in pay for a set time, say a year or two. Think of it like signing up for a phone plan. You agree to $50 a month, and even if the company hikes rates for new customers, You're stuck at that price until your deal ends. Same with work. Your parents might have a contract from last year promising $20 an hour, and the boss can't change it midstream without breaking the rules or causing a fuss. Unions or worker groups sometimes fight for quicker bumps, but for everyday jobs, it's rare.
Contracts locking it in. Okay, that makes sense for big companies. But what about smaller places, like the ice cream shop down the street? Can't they just give raises whenever?
Even small spots move slow. Owners there watch their own costs rising, more for milk, cones, and the freezer's electric bill. So they're squeezed too. They might want to pay more to keep scooping pros from quitting, but adjusting means crunching numbers, maybe cutting hours elsewhere, or waiting for sales to pick up. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. Inflation drains money faster than they can refill it with higher menu prices. Plus, negotiations take time. Workers ask for a raise, bosses think it over, maybe haggle over how much. That back and forth can drag on for months, especially if the economy's wobbly and jobs feel shaky.
Months? No wonder my older sister griped about her part-time gig last summer. Tips were okay, but everything else cost more, and her hourly didn't budge.
Your sister's experience is super common. Employers adjust slowly because they fear overpaying if inflation cools off later. Remember, they aim to stay in business, not go broke handing out cash. In good times, wages might catch up faster through bonuses or reviews, but during steady inflation, it's a chase. Data shows that in the U.S., average pay rises about 3% a year. But if inflation's 4% or more, folks lose buying power. It's why families might feel tighter. The same paycheck buys less gas for school runs or ingredients for family dinners. Governments push for minimum wage hikes to help, but those are battles in legislatures, not instant fixes.
Losing buying power. Yeah, like my allowance feels smaller even though it's the same $5 a week. So employers are scared of going broke too?
Spot on. They're juggling their own inflation hits, like renting space or buying supplies. If they raise pay too quick without hiking what they charge customers, profits vanish. Picture a pizza shop. Dough costs more from wheat prices. Cheese from milk surges. So the owner thinks, I can't pay the crew 10% more yet. Let's wait till I can bump pie prices without scaring folks away. That delay means wages trail, and everyday people notice first at the grocery line. Over time, as contracts renew and talks happen, pay inches up. But the lag can be 6 months to a year, leaving a gap where savings dip or extras get cut.
The pizza shop example clicks. My cousin works at one and he said they only got a small raise after waiting forever. Does this lag ever make things worse, like a cycle?
It can snowball a bit, yeah. When wages lag, people spend less on non-essentials to cover basics, which slows the economy and might even push inflation higher if companies cut production. But usually it evens out as bosses compete for workers. Good employees jump to better paying spots, forcing others to follow. Your family might see it in budgeting. What used to cover a full cart now leaves some shelves untouched. It's not forever, but that delay stings, especially for younger workers starting out with entry-level pay.
Starting out, that's me thinking about summer jobs soon. So the lags from contracts, slow bosses, and talks taking time. Got it. But with all this happening, how can I actually spot inflation tweaking my own spending without it sneaking up?
That's a smart angle to explore next. Spotting inflation in your own spending is easier than you might think, and it's empowering once you start paying attention. It's not just glancing at a higher receipt and shrugging. It's about patterns that show how your money stretch is changing over time. One straightforward way is to track your grocery totals month by month. Grab a notebook or app on your phone and jot down what a usual shopping trip costs, like the snacks, milk, and bread your family grabs. If last month's haul was $80 and this one's $85 for the same stuff, that's inflation whispering in your ear.
Tracking groceries? Sounds simple enough, but isn't that just seeing higher bills at the end of the week? What's the big deal beyond that?
I hear you. It can feel like stating the obvious. But digging into those bills reveals the real story, not just the surface shock. Say you notice the total creeping up, but then break it down. Those after-school chips that were $1.50 a bag now hit $1.75, while the apples stay steady because they're in season. Over a few months, if the pattern holds and your list hasn't changed, you've caught inflation at work on the everyday eats. It's like checking your bike tire pressure regularly. Inflation sneaks in slow, but tracking spots the leak before you're pedaling on flats. Families do this to adjust, maybe swapping pricier treats for homemade versions or hunting sales.
Okay, patterns over months. My mom does something like that with her shopping app, comparing last year to now. It shows the totals up about 10% without us buying more.
Exactly, and that's gold for understanding. Now, extend that to fun stuff like toys or games. Compare prices yearly to really see the shift. Think back to your birthday last year. That cool robot toy was $25, right? Check online or at the store now. If it's $27 or more for the same model, not a fancier one, inflation's tagged along. Stores update prices around holidays, so peaking in January versus December highlights it. Or for video games, note how a new release costs $60 every time, but older ones you stag on sale jump from $20 to $25 as production winds down and costs linger. It's not dramatic each trip, but yearly it adds up, showing how your saved up cash buys one less game.
Yearly checks for toys. Yeah, I remember wanting a skateboard last summer for $40, but this year the same brand's $45. Didn't think of it as inflation before, just the store thing.
You've nailed it. That's the quiet way it shows up in the stuff you save for. Another sign is when budget shortfalls pop up unexpectedly. Picture your weekly allowance or family fun fund. You plan $20 for comics and ice cream, but suddenly it's short by $3 because the cone's a quarter more and the comic's up a dime. That gap emerges not from overspending, but prices nibbling away. Keep a simple log of what you aim to spend versus what it actually took. If shortfalls keep happening on the same items, inflation's the culprit. My friend's kid did this during back to school season. Budgeted $50 for supplies, but pencils and notebooks cost $55 total, forcing a skip on new markers. It teaches you to tweak, like buying in bulk or waiting for deals, turning frustration into smarts.
Budget shortfalls. Like when I planned for 2 sodas after soccer, but could only get one because each was 50 cents more. Logging that stuff could help me not feel so surprised next time.
Spot on. And it builds that awareness without stress. These habits, tracking groceries monthly, eyeing toy prices yearly, watching for those sneaky shortfalls, let you notice inflation before it bites hard. You start seeing it's not random. It's the economy's rhythm affecting your choices. Families who do this often chat about it at dinner, adjusting together, like picking cheaper fruits or DIY games. Over time, it even motivates bigger moves, like saving extra or learning about jobs that pay better. You're already ahead by asking. Keep an eye on those little shifts, and you'll handle whatever comes with confidence.
Yeah, I get it now. Tracking and comparing makes inflation less of a mystery in my own life. Feels like I can stay one step ahead instead of just reacting. Thanks for breaking it all down. Everything from why it starts to spotting it myself clicks way better.